Yeah. Today we have a super special, extra special, more special than every other video. I'm John Holmes and I have nothing to do with professionalism, but today we're going to review the Rane 12 digital turntable. So we got a lot of DJs out there maybe. Maybe you haven't ever DJed before, but maybe you're looking into DJing, and in today's market, you probably are going to get a digital turntable system. There are not really a lot of analog ones left on the market, and if you're like me and you had a set of analogs and one of them broke, you can't even get a replacement for it, so maybe you can fix it. I fixed one, I couldn't fix my other one, so I had to get a new turntable. And I didn't want to just get any old digital turntable. I wanted something that was better than my timecode vinyl. I have had the original Rane timecode vinyl. I also had version 2 of the timecode vinyl, and it was pretty good. You know, it got me through. I definitely enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I don't do this professionally. I basically am a closet DJ. I have fun for myself. I have fun at parties every now and then, and I do not get paid. This is one of my only hobbies where I do not get paid. So that's kind of nice. It makes it a lot lower pressure for me, you know. But I still needed something. I needed 2 decks, one way or another, and I went for the Rane 12. I have tried a lot of the digital ones, and I was never very impressed with the feel of their platters. Most of them are just fake rotational platters, or they don't even rotate, and it's just a platter that when you put your hand on it, kind of stops the record, and you can do a little bit of cutting with it. But I didn't like the feel of them, so I thought, hey, this Rane 12 is pretty much a turntable, so I want to have that real turntable, the feel of real scratching for me, because that's kind of what I do. I like to scratch. I like to do a little beat juggling, stuff like that. I'm not just a digital sort of guy. Are you old school and you like analog over digital like me, or do you like digital over analog? So I'll just run through what I like about the Rane 12, what I dislike about the Rane 12, and why I think you are probably going to get one of these and really like it too. So if you look at it compared to a normal turntable, it's the same shape, it's the same height. I have a Rane 64 mixer. It's the same height as that because they're, of course, both Rane products. And the way that it stacks up to the mixer, I have a lot of control right here. I can hit my cue points. On this particular one, I'll turn it sideways so I can have start and stop on this hand. Pretty useful to have. So it's kind of like a battle setup in a sort of a way. What I do like about it is that I can control all 4 channels. The Rane 64 has 4 channels on deck. I really don't use any more than 2 channels, but occasionally I will use 3 because I'll be beat matching 2 things and I'll throw the 3rd channel on for a little bit of cutting on top. And that's really nice to have. They could have gotten away, I think, with making this compatible with 2 channels, but it's just 2 extra buttons up here, so basically why not do that? It's hardly any more cost for them, hardly any more cost for us, and it makes it compatible with pretty much everything. What I do also like is that it has the pitch range select right here. It's pretty much the same as my Newmark TTX1s as far as I can select my pitch range. This one goes 8%, 10%, 20%, 50%, and this one has 8%, 16%, and 50% on there. So we get a little preview of what we can do. 8%, really can't tell much difference. 16%, you can kind of tell we hit 50. And then we also have, besides that, our 33 RPM and our 45 RPM. So, oh yeah, a little too much for me. All right, so we've got all this easy to use just right there. I would kind of like it if I could move these parts around, but we can wish in one hand and see which one fills up in the other hand. I don't think that's the exact saying that my dad used to tell me, but you get the drift. All right, so on top of the pitch fader, we also have our hot cue points here. So it's not even really a button. This is probably one of my dislikes, but it still works pretty good. If you're doing it wrong, you can just jump through and make it clip all you want to all your cue points. But they also have this cue mode button. And this is kind of a completion bar, if you will, of your song. So if I want to go to the halfway through the song, I just drag the halfway through the song. Maybe good for DJing, getting to a certain point, but honestly, I never use that function. It's kind of extraneous. I just use my cue points. and I don't use these cue points on it. I would much rather do the one on my board over here. It's a better feel to have that tactile button. I far enjoy the tactile buttons. You know, like going to phones that have your touch screen and doing your numbers and stuff. I don't like that. I like the original phones with numbers. Call me old school, but I like the analog aspect of a lot of things. But even though this is digital, it is so close to the same feel, and maybe the best thing we can do is show you how a record sounds when I'm scratching really slow, and then show you how this sounds when I'm scratching real slow. So this starts and stops just like a normal turntable would, of course. It's also got a motor on-off switch, which I never even use. So whatever on that, maybe you like it. I don't care. So we're gonna go to deck 2, I think is... So the problem with 4 channels is it's a little bit confusing sometimes when you have a lot going on. All right. We'll turn off our echo, and then you can hear what's actually going on. So, nice controlled feel. Of course, it's a real record. I do have to cut out my low end with a real record because you can hear whenever I slap the record. So we always have to cut out the low end when we're scratching, pretty much. Now we go to this guy, and you don't hear when I slap the record, of course, because there's no tone arm on it. Now that's good in some ways because I can put my 6-year-old on this thing, and he can do all this number, and he's not going to break my frickin' needle. On the downside, it teaches you bad habits. If you're going to go back to a real record, a few times I've been, queuing up real fast, and I'll slip my hand out where the tone arm would normally be and give myself a heart attack because I'm just ready for that tone arm to go flying off and break my needle, which can't even get these needles anymore. And so it teaches bad habits in some ways, but in other ways, I use this entire record already, and I haven't actually destroyed this needle yet. So fingers crossed, it hasn't happened. But let's get back to hearing just how good the low speed control is on this guy. And this was always my biggest gripe about all the other digital turntables and the vinyl time code is that the low speed control just isn't there. But with this, as slow as you want to go, it can't be any closer to a record without being a record. So I must say the low speed control on these tables is excellent. It's like the crawl master of the turntable world. You get as slow as you want, and then you can turn it up as fast as you want. 45 RPM, 50% pitch select. You can hear that I recorded off my record, so there's actually that scratchy record sound behind it, which is kind of cool to me. I didn't clean my record before I recorded off of it. Whatever. So as fast as you want to go and as slow as you want to go. It's really, I really like it. I will say it was a little bit expensive at first, and I kind of, it was a little painful to buy this guy, but this put me back in the game with 2 turntables, and I have so much digital material that I can now scratch with, and it's a much better job than the time code vinyl was. So it's really everything that I always wanted in a digital turntable, and a couple of things that I don't want too, but we can just ignore them and not use them, and it works all the same. So we have, let's see if I can get my bearings again, get a little background track. So there you have it. I'm a natural right-handed scratcher, So maybe I was a little bit better, more on time with this side. But it really does sound the same. When it boils down to it, the average listener wouldn't be able to tell which one that I was on, and maybe, maybe I just cross it up, so I'm right-handed on this one, and I can do the same patterns. And then if I can keep track of which deck I'm on, I can load some new stuff. Ooh, woo, that's a little hot.
That probably won't even scratch worth a That probably won't even scratch worth a That probably won't even scratch worth it. That probably won't even scratch worth it. That probably won't even scratch worth a Scratch worth a
Whoops.
Scratch my balls. 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 Why? Why? Scratch my balls. Scratch my balls.
I could do this all day. I could do this all day. So, and it stops just like a record. So that's about all that I have to say about it. If y'all have any questions that I didn't cover, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I didn't cover, just go ahead and ask me in the comments, and I will do my best to get to it at least. But really the takeaway from this is if you're looking for a new turntable, whether it be digital or analog, I feel that this guy, the Rane 12, is so close, just so close to the analog tables, or whatever we're going to call them at this point, that as long as you don't have a huge vinyl collection, there's really no reason to get a normal table at this point, especially if you're into turntablism or you want to get into turntablism. Do you have a big record collection? The 12 does come with a license for Serato, DJ, or Scratch, or whatever they're calling it these days. So you can get into it, and honestly, you don't even need your mixer if you really don't want to. But on the same token, you can get a mixer and you don't even have to get tables with it, the way that the new digital stuff is. So at any rate, I'm going to start rambling because this is stuff that I could probably talk about all day long. And yeah, so if you're looking for something, especially a digital one, and you want that feel, I can highly, highly recommend the Rane 12. I had thoroughly enjoyed it. I've had it since it came out, and I use it as often as I possibly can. Sometimes on lunch break, I'll just come over here and get a little bit of scratching time in, just a little music therapy, my favorite thing to do in life sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes it's my favorite thing to do. So at any rate, I will cut it off today. I appreciate you tuning in, and have a good one.